Welcome back. With exam results released on Tuesday, many learners are asking what they can do differently to improve their performance going forward. One growing conversation is around how artificial intelligence can be used as a study tool to improve academic outcomes. We are joined by Vitalis Haupindi, an IT expert, to give us more insights. Good morning and welcome. Welcome back.
Good morning, Maskuda. Thank you for having me.
Great. Now, Vitalis, a lot of learners got their exam results, but some of them are wondering, what did I do wrong? Now, you've said often the issue is not intelligence, but studying techniques. What do you mean by this?
Right. So there's this very old idea called neuroplasticity, the idea that humans can actually grow their brain, and the brain is just like a muscle, your biceps. And often the issue starts with the learner's confidence in thinking that having not done so well, maybe across the years in different subjects and in different tests, they end up thinking that maybe they're just not smart enough. But actually the issue is that you are not exercising enough. And that is, you're not exercising your brain enough, you're not challenging it enough, and also the technique you're employing. Just like at the gym, it's not just enough to do push-ups, you actually have to do the right form of push-ups. Yes. And so in learning, there's a right way and the right techniques that get information to your brain much better and much faster. And that often involves friction. And so that means you're going to struggle to get the concept. And so the key is not to stop when you struggle to get the concept. The key is to ask, okay, can I get a video to try this out? Or can I get a different explanation?
Approach, yes.
And so it's that series of trying to get a different explanation, it's that friction in your brain where you're struggling, that's actually where what we call new synapses are being connected. The pathways in your brain are connecting, and you can now be able to understand that concept. So the brain is just like a muscle. You must exercise it, and you need to exercise it regularly, and you need to employ techniques that help you to do that.
So also, as you rightfully said, beyond just exercising it, you need to exercise it in the right way.
Yep.
Because movement is not necessarily progress.
Yes.
Now, most learners study by reading and highlighting notes. Why do you describe this as passive studying, and how do you explain why learners forget so much in the newsroom, in the room?
So on top of neuroplasticity, there's a concept called the forgetting curve. And if you're just reading it once, 2 times, 3 times, or you read and you try and read it again. Photosynthesis is how plants make food, is how plants make food. But by just after 1 hour from that, you will have forgotten 50% of the things.
The moment you get into the exam room, then you're panicking and everything is gone. Why?
Yep. Every new information that you get, you will forget it will forget 50% of it. This conversation we're having now, everything I'm telling you, after 1 hour, you will have forgotten 50% of it. After 24 hours, you will have forgotten at least 70% of it. After 1 week, you will have forgotten 90% of it. So it's like pouring water in a bucket with nothing under it. It's just pouring out. The key to stop that is what's called spaced repetition, where everything that you are learning right now, you want to try and revise it again a day after. And then now that you've revised the day after, the key things that you're struggling to memorize at that point in time, you actually now have to memorize them the week after. And so the things that you are getting right now, you're able to memorize, that's perfectly fine. You can review them a week after. Now, there's also an issue where people think that kids should not memorize things. And that is just totally wrong, because memory is the most basic form of knowing something. We're not just saying memorize it. We're saying first, once you understand it, you actually now have to memorize it, because you need to be able to recall it and use it. Now, there are scientific techniques that people can employ to memorize techniques. And so, apart from just reading, back and forth. Of course, spaced repetition is one of them, but things like mnemonics and being able to attach the definition of something to in the house. And so these are techniques that the learners can learn. There are a lot of them the learners can learn by just going on YouTube or asking the AI, what are the different techniques I can learn to memorize something. But first of all, appreciating the fact that just because you understand something doesn't mean you have learned it. Because if you can't memorize it, you actually haven't learned it, because then you can't use it.
Yes. Now, for all the terminology that you've used, for some of our viewers, it might be a bit of jargon. Can you just elaborate on some of those very technical terms you used?
Yep. So, for example, something like neuroplasticity just means that your brain is not fixed. It can change. When you were smaller, your brain was much smaller. It didn't have a lot of, it only had the ability to help you maybe walk and then speak some basic English. It didn't have the ability to help you to know how to read. But as soon as you were practicing this back and forth in your lower grades, your brain started making the connections that 1 looks like this, 2 looks like this, 3 looks like this. And as you're growing up and growing older, the concepts just become difficult. It's no longer just 1 + 1 and 2, knowing how to do that. The
So
concepts become...
the muscle is being exercised.
Yep. And so it's a matter of, it's becoming more difficult. It's just a matter of persistence and a matter of finding a different medium to understand something. Just because you didn't get it from the teacher does not mean you're not capable. It just means you need to try a different approach, a different medium. And because maybe your neural pathways will connect because of that.
Now, research has shown that one-on-one support produces the best academic results, but yet our classrooms are overcrowded. We have to be realistic about that. How can AI help to bridge this gap?
There's a lot of AI tools and AI companies working to fix a problem. In fact, it's called the 2 sigma problem. It's over 43 years old. It was done in America by a scientist called Benjamin Bloom with his graduate students. And he was able to prove to us that if you just give learners one-on-one attention, they can all at least get into the 98th percentile. But in Namibian classrooms and other classrooms around the world, especially in Africa, you have more learners sharing one teacher. And beyond that, the government can't do much about that right now, beyond trying to figuring out how to bring AI into the classrooms. But what parents can do immediately is getting tutors for their kids. And this is almost every single person needs a tutor. Because now in the world of AI, where knowledge and information is accessible immediately, it means we now have a responsibility to learn much faster, because that gives you an edge. You can't just be a master of one thing. And so using AI to learn much faster outside home, but also making use of tutors, because knowing that at school my child is one of 50 or 40 learners in the classroom, so they're not getting the one-on-one attention. You need to make sure that on your own you're trying to provide one-on-one attention for your kids. In the meantime, the government is going to try and mobilize resources and reduce the teacher-to-learner ratios, build more schools. But we can't build more schools next year. We can't build 500 schools next year or train 20,000 teachers next year now. But the teachers, the schools, and especially the government can look into AI technology to help deliver that. And there are other companies, several companies have done that to build AI to be used in the classroom so that the teacher can provide one-on-one attention to each learner.
Now, for parents watching this morning who are not teachers or tech experts for that matter, how can they still use these ideas to support their children's learning at home?
I think first the parents, let them try the tools out directly themselves so they actually understand. And so there's tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. These are available tools that parents should explore and not just assume that the learner is going to use it on their own, or just not tell them not to use it. And the key is to figure out how to use it effectively, because the AI tools on their own, they're designed to be very helpful. So if a learner just asks it, it gives them a question, and that's not going to be helpful. There's not going to be friction. For learning to take place, there must be difficulty. If it comes too easy, there's no learning. It's like if you're exercising and you're not getting any pain, the muscle is not going to grow. And so there needs to be pain. And so parents need to explore these tools. And just a quick YouTube search, how can I use ChatGPT for learning to help my child? I'm very certain you'll find a tool, guidance from someone online to be able to show you these things.
Because many times people actually tend to get intimidated by AI, or there's always the notion AI is here to replace our jobs, or even sometimes there's information overload. But as you rightfully put it, a basic YouTube search can be the starting point.
Yep.
Now, finally, as learners begin the new academic year, what is the one study habit they should change now to improve their results going forward?
If you dedicate 1 hour to exercise, and in this case, exercise exercise your brain,
Yes.
that will just do it for you. You take 1 hour to exercise, but also you need to understand that if you haven't memorized something, you haven't learned. Just because, and this is the thing, like the teachers sit in a classroom and they explain to the learners and they get it at a point in time. And then the learners don't do their part. They don't go home, now that they understand the thing, to actually go memorize these key ideas, and then so they are able to use it. Because if you don't memorize something, there's a very bad connotation people have with memory, but memory is the only way I'm able to speak English to you right now. The way you're able to respond to me is how we know how to count.
Memorized it and understood it.
It's the most basic form. There are 6 levels of learning. It starts first with memory. And people should embrace and research techniques on how to memorize much better. And there's countless amounts of those. And so we're actually also building a program with our work in government schools, where we are bringing AI to these government schools and these learners, and the AI can immediately get them to understand something. But if the learner doesn't employ memory techniques to memorize these key ideas, they're not able to use it. So we are building training programs to teach students how to memorize much effectively.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yep. Thank you.